that more of a like an emergency situation? Like they had to do it immediately. I'm glad you're okay. Healing us. Did they let you keep it? No? Did you get to see it? Okay. Did you want to see it?
Don't do that. His grace, your song we could ever sing. You're worthy of all the praise we could ever bring. You're worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. and show me who you are, and fill me with your heart, and lead me in your love to those around me. Father in heaven, this morning as we worship you and we praise your name, we thank you for the hope we have in Jesus, and we thank you for the foundation of your love. This morning, God, as we celebrate communion together, and we celebrate that foundation, that you would give your Son. You love us so much that you would give your Son to die on that cross for us. Father, may you be honored and glorified in what we do today. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Jesus.
Good morning. Why do Christians do communion? As often as we remember Jesus, we should celebrate Jesus. Communion is important because it's a command to remember. So as we come to this time of communion, we need to prepare ourselves by concentrating on the one that healed us all, so that we may be cleansed and forgiven of our sins. At the Lord's Supper, Jesus said in Matthew 26:26-29, while they were eating, Jesus took bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and gave it to his disciples, saying, "Take and eat, this is my body." Then he took the cup, gave thanks, and offered to them, saying, "Drink from it, all of you. This is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins. I tell you, I will not drink of the fruit of the vine from now on until the day I drink it anew with you in my Father's kingdom." Let us pray. Dear Lord, thank you so much for loving us and sending us your Son. We know that we are all sinners. Thank you for your forgiveness. May your light shine through us as living examples to others for you every day. In Jesus' name, amen. Let us pray. Dear Lord, this morning during this offering, we dedicate our gifts to you. Lord, help us to use these offerings to glorify you, to be vessels of your work in this world. We know what all you have done for us. Strengthen us to live the life that you want us to live. We want to spread the great news about the sacrifice of your Son, Jesus. We love you, and we pray that you bless these offerings. In Jesus' name, amen.
In your mind's eye, I want you to picture a story with me. It comes from the Old Testament. If you grew up in the church, this story likely had a large impact on your childhood understanding of God and who He is and who He is and what He is about. But it also likely had a large impact on your understanding of Satan and who Satan is and what Satan is about. So I want you to picture yourself back in the Garden of Eden. And unlike the views outside today, the place is green and lush. It's not dreary. It's teeming with this new life that God has just finished creating. There's two people. There's two people in the garden. You got Adam and you got Eve. God had created Adam and Eve to take care of his new creation. However, there was one thing that they could not do. There's one thing that they were instructed not to do at all. God did not want them to eat from the tree in the center of the garden. That was it. That was all. That's all he instructed them not to do. And Adam and Eve went about their business doing the things that God created for them to do, and rarely did they even think about that tree in the center of the garden. To them, the fruit on that tree was poison. Much like you and I would walk through the garage and see a bottle of antifreeze and say, well, I'm not going to drink that because it's poison. It just became known to them that that's what it was. They knew it was poison until that one day. That one day up in the tree there was a serpent, Satan. And he began to ask Eve if God had been telling her what to do. You know, because nobody likes being told what to do. Eve responded, yes. He said, don't eat off that one tree or we'll die. And Satan responded very simply to her, you don't have to listen to God. He's just trying to keep you from being like him. You won't die. You can make your own decisions. See, Satan got Eve to question God's authority. And with that decision to partake of the fruit, or with that decision to listen to Satan, the fruit suddenly became irresistible to Eve, and she, what was poison, was no longer poison to her. It was intriguing. It was interesting. And with that, she took a bite, and she shared it with Adam. And the result of that disobedience was a complete catastrophe. They became alienated from God. They were expelled from the garden. And the tranquil life that they knew was replaced with sin and death. From that moment forward, every descendant of Adam and Eve has inherited the same sinful, rebellious nature. It's part of who we are now. Kids don't need to be taught to be disobedient, do they? It just comes naturally to them. They have to be taught to be obedient now. Why? Because disobedience to authority is in their nature. It's part of who they are. However, when we accept Christ as our Savior, we submit to the authority of God through Jesus Christ. We revert back to the garden. We go back to the way it was supposed to be and trust that God has our best interest in mind, just as He did for Adam and Eve. You know, we've been spending a lot of time in the book of Luke this year, and this morning is no different. We're going to be in Luke chapter 20. And in this chapter we find, Bob Russell points out that there are 3 groups of people in this chapter. And each group of people in this chapter is questioning Jesus' authority on some subject. And so I'd like us to look at that this morning. The first is the chief priests, who question Jesus' authority in the temple. Verses 1 and 2 says it this way. One day as Jesus was teaching the people and preaching the good news in the temple, the leading priests, the teachers of the religious law, and the elders came up to him. They demanded, by what authority are you doing these things? Who gave you the right? Now, it's easy to understand. The religious leaders were a little upset here. I mean, they were the ones that were supposed to be the experts. They were the ones who were supposed to be, you know, the pros. Here comes this guy waltzing in sandals and a robe, and a little beard, and some shaggy hair, claiming to be the Messiah. Now, when the Jews were waiting for Messiah, they were waiting for a military leader. And Jesus certainly didn't look that part. They were waiting for a military leader to lead them in victory over their oppressors, the occupiers. And instead, they got Jesus. So you can understand, they might have been a little apprehensive. Now, on top of that, Jesus comes in and disrupts all their Passover trading in the temple. I mean, how are they to make money? I mean, what church leader doesn't get upset when giving's a little off? Here comes Jesus to disrupt the giving. Then he begins to teach. He begins to teach in the temple. This was their turf. This was their territory. Who was Jesus to do this? So it's easy to understand why they might question him. But let's fast forward to today a little bit. Just as Jesus had the authority over religious leaders in that day, he has the authority over religious leaders today. Even today, there's people out there with very impressive credentials. Oh, they've got all kinds of titles. They got a whole alphabet soup full of letters following their name, telling you how smart they are. And society will tell you they're authoritative. You need to listen to them. But yet they'll question. They'll question the existence of Jesus. They'll question the existence of hell. They'll laugh at his teachings. They'll even tell you that Jesus was just a simple man. He couldn't possibly know or understand the complex problems of today. And I'll tell you right now, some of us, we fall in track to some of those religious leaders. I get handed books all the time. You need to read this, you need to read this. First place I go when somebody hands me a book is I go to, there's a page in the front. It's called the publisher's page. And when I read the publisher's page, it tells me who published the book. And then I look up what the publishing house, and I find out who published it. And it'll tell me a lot about what direction that book is coming from, just based on who published the book. And then I'll go research the author myself. I'll go dig and find out. Some of you will post articles online on Facebook. You'll share an article. Because whoever wrote the article has one thing you agree with, and you fail to go examine that author to find out where they stand. Just because you agree with one thing doesn't mean they're a credible source. Here's what we need to look at. Submission to Jesus. Submission to his authority means we accept the Jesus that is revealed in the Scriptures, in the Bible. We accept the Jesus revealed in the Bible. And that goes for the followers of Jesus, but that also goes for the religious leaders. You see, if we fail to accept the Jesus revealed in the Scripture, then this whole thing we're doing is just made up. It just becomes whatever we want it to be. It's the responsibility of a Christian to be on guard. For when a religious leader, including myself, challenges the authority of Jesus, it's our responsibility to be on guard. For when a religious leader challenges the authority of Jesus, questions whether or not his teachings are true, we must let the Jesus of the Bible be Lord, and we must submit to his authority. Now, the second group of people is the Pharisees. The Pharisees questioned Jesus about political duty. Decided they were going to go give Jesus a civics lesson. Verse 20 of chapter 20 says this: watching for their opportunity, the leaders sent spies pretending to be honest men. I love how they say they were pretending to be honest men. There isn't a contradiction there. I don't know what is. They tried to get Jesus to say something that could be reported to the Roman governor so he would arrest Jesus. Teacher, they said, we know that you speak and teach what is right and are not influenced by what others think. You teach the way of God truthfully. Now tell us, is it right for us to pay taxes to Caesar or not? You see, they want to know if the people of God who are being occupied, who are being oppressed, should render a tax, give money to their oppressor, who will then in turn use that money to further oppress, further keep down the people of God. They don't want to give the money to the evil empire, and surely Jesus wouldn't either. See, this group of leaders that sent spies to trick Jesus were known as the Pharisees. And the Pharisees were a group of people that thought that they were the keepers of tradition and teaching. They basically thought that they cornered the market on proper orthodoxy. The way they saw it was their way or no way. I'm doing it right, you're doing it wrong. I don't need to learn anything more because I already know. You don't. You need to learn. That's their thought process. That's the way they would look down on people who wouldn't or couldn't hold the same standard that they thought they did, which was ironic because they couldn't hold it either. Now, while there isn't a group of Pharisees in the modern church per se, they're here. They're around still to this day. We don't call them Pharisees, but they sure act like Pharisees. They feel it's their duty to fill that role, to hold us to proper orthodoxy, and their definition of proper orthodoxy is whatever they think should be right. Maybe not necessarily what Scripture thinks is right and true. Just a side note, though, if that's you, if you're one of those people, stop. The Bible doesn't have anything good to say about a Pharisee, so quit trying to be like one. Understand that not everybody in this room is going to agree on every aspect of Scripture and interpretation of it. I certainly don't corner the market on proper theology and orthodoxy. Dwight does not either. We are all learning still about Jesus together and studying him together. As long as we can agree on those major points, the minor points are okay. It's all right if we don't agree on all those. But it's certainly wrong if because somebody doesn't agree with you on that, but you go and you put them down. And you go and you hold them down. That's what the Pharisees did. They really had that holier-than-thou attitude with people. Here in our passage, though, we're talking about taxes. Fitting given the time of year for us. It's on many people's minds. If you haven't already done them yet, you've got to do them soon. And just like today, the question of taxes is surely to elicit some sort of response, positive, negative, or otherwise. I mean, nobody likes the idea of taxes. Look what Jesus says here. Verse 23. He saw through their trickery, and he said, "Show me a Roman coin." Whose picture and title are stamped on it? "Well, Caesar's," they replied. "Well then," he said, "give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and give to God what belongs to God." And so they failed to trap him by what he said in front of the people. Instead, they were amazed by his answer, and they became silent. So what does Jesus teach us by his response? Well, he teaches us that he's the Lord of our duties as citizens. He's the Lord of our duties as citizens. God has established earthly governments. He has put them in place. And it's a way to restrain man's sinful nature. You know, that disobedient, rebellious spirit we inherited from the fall of Adam and Eve. Earthly governments and their laws, they create safe and orderly societies. So we give the government what rightfully belongs to them. Hey, I'm not a fan of taxes. I'll be the first to tell you that. I'm not a fan of the amount of taxes I pay, but I know I pay a lot less than some people in our country. Might live in California or New York. But we'll work hard and pay every tax we owe. Not try to cheat the system, but pay whatever it is that we owe. If Jesus is over our duties as citizens, we obey the laws of the land, and we respect those that enforce it. It's part of who we are when we're part of a society. In fact, we should even be praying for those in positions of authority. Those we agree with and those we don't agree with. And maybe not necessarily just pray that they would see it our way, but that they would see it God's way. That they would see it the way God would have for them to see it. Jesus is also teaching us this, though. We must give God what is rightfully his. We must give God what is rightfully his. And for a lot of us, we've heard the idea of the tithe and 10%. That's great. But you know what is rightfully his? In the spirit of the Pharisees, what is rightfully his? Everything. Everything we have belongs to him. Everything you own is because of him. So if everything we have belongs to God, we should submit everything to him. Our family, our jobs, our relationships, our money, everything we have. should all be given to bring glory to him, who's the rightful owner in the first place. Then there's our last group, the Sadducees. The Sadducees question Jesus about eternity. They question Jesus about eternity. Verse 27 says it this way. Then Jesus was approached by some Sadducees, religious leaders who say there's no resurrection from the dead. And they posed this question, Teacher, Moses gave us a law that if a man dies, leaving a wife and no children, his brother should marry the widow and have a child who will carry on his brother's name. Well, suppose there's 7 brothers. Oh yeah, we'll see where this is going. The oldest one married and then died without children. So the second brother married the widow, but he also died. Then the third brother married her. This continued with all 7 of them who died without children. Finally, the woman died. So tell us, whose wife will she be in the resurrection? For all 7 were married to her. Now the Sadducees, if you don't know who they were kind of a religious, liberal group of the day. They only believed in the Torah to be inspired. The Torah, the first 5 books of what we call the Old Testament, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. They only believed that to be the inspired word. They didn't believe in angels. They didn't believe in spirits. And they certainly did not believe in the resurrection. So they were trying to trap Jesus with this question about the resurrection. You see, they had a belief that since Moses never spoke of life after death, then it didn't exist and was merely just a little wishful thinking, a little hope, a little something to get you through. So in an effort to trap Jesus, they bring Jesus one of those questions. One of those questions that, however he answers, they're thinking, oh, we got it. You know, it's one of those questions like, can God make a rock big enough even he can't lift? Right? Because if you say, yes he can, or no he can't, what are you doing? You're limiting God's ability. One of them kind of questions. However, the correct answer is yes, God can do whatever he wants. If he wants to limit himself to make a rock and not be strong, that's fine. If he wants to make himself super strong, hey, God can do what he wants. If he wants to limit himself, that's good. And this was one of those kind of questions. Look what he said here. Jesus replied, marriage is for people on earth, but in the age to come, those worthy of being raised from the dead will neither marry nor be given in marriage, and they will never die again. In this respect, they will be like angels. They are children of God and children of the resurrection. But now, as to whether the dead will be raised, even Moses proved this when he wrote about the burning bush. Long after Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob had died, he referred to the Lord as the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So he is the God of the living, not the dead, for they are with him. Now Jesus makes it clear to the Sadducees that there is life after death. But that life is going to be a little different than we know it here on earth. Marriage will not exist. Relationships will look different. Jesus also challenges that area about the resurrection, challenging their belief that Moses never even referred to life after death. He proves to them that it's there. They just missed it. He didn't refer to them, to Abraham, that God was the God of Abraham, Isaac. It's God is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The bottom line here is that Jesus is the ultimate authority on eternal matters. He's the ultimate authority on eternal matters. The Sadducees are not. To my Pharisee friends, you are not either. Someone who saw a tunnel of light while laying on an operating table is not. Jesus is. Jesus is the ultimate authority on eternal matters. He's the expert. He is the ultimate authority in this life and beyond. Now, besides Adam and Eve, one of the other Bible stories that I was told over and over as a child was the story of Jesus giving the Great Commission. If you remember that story, Jesus gathers his disciples together. He's getting ready to leave them and ascend back to heaven. And in Matthew 28, we find the passage, "Therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and teach these new disciples to obey all the commands I have given you. And be sure of this, I am with you always, even to the end of the age." The story of the Great Commission is a story about submitting to Jesus, even if you don't see it up there. Go back one verse. Jesus came and told his disciples, "I have been given all authority in heaven and on earth. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Teach these new disciples to obey all the commands I have given you. And be sure of this, I am with you always, even to the end of the age." I always tell our students there that if you see the word therefore, you need to ask the question, what is it there for? Verse 19 starts with the word therefore, which means something in front of it is telling you to do what's after it. Because of this, do this. And it says, Jesus says, "I've been given all authority in heaven and on earth." All authority is his. And because of that, because I've been given all authority, you need to make disciples. You need to teach them and baptize them. The Great Commission is about submitting to the authority of Christ. Failing to live out that commission is a failure to submit to Jesus' authority. You know, when we say, He's the King of Kings, He's the Lord of Lords, it's a very churchy statement that we use a lot. He's the King of Kings, He's the Lord of Lords. What are we saying? We're saying that He's a king that is greater than the greatest king that we would know. The most powerful king on earth. He's above that. He's a Lord that's above the greatest Lord we could ever know. He's above that. Greater. He's been given all authority. Lord over everything. All the kings and all the other lords. Religious leaders. Government issues. Matters of eternity. He has the authority over those. So as a Christian, it's our responsibility to submit to His authority in our life. That's what you need to take home. It's that simple phrase. As a Christian, it is our responsibility to submit to His authority in our life. Because He has been given all authority in heaven and on earth. Now, if we go back to Adam and Eve, we see that the authority God had over them was to protect them. See, most of the time when we view authority as oppression. They just want to kill my fun. They just want to keep you down. But authority of God in your life is for your protection. And Satan may try to trick you and tell you that God just wants to keep you from having that fun. He wants to keep you from having that. Oh, you can have so much if you just... That's the way Satan works. He tries to trap you. Much like the Sadducees and the Pharisees and the religious leaders tried to trap Jesus. The fact of the matter is, when we submit to God's authority, we submit to his protection on our life. As a Christian, it's our responsibility to submit to his authority in our life. Let's pray. God in heaven, we know how wonderful you are. We know, God, that you want to protect us. You want the best for us. And Father, this morning I pray for each person here that they might submit to your authority, that they might understand how good it is to follow you, how good it is to know you. Father, it's so easy sometimes to just do what we want, to just walk and turn our backs from you. God, it's my prayer that each one of us today, we remember who you are. You're the God of Abraham, you're the God of Isaac, you're the God of Jacob. You're the God of Adam, you're the God of Eve. You're the God of the disciples. And so, Father, this morning, I pray that each one of us, once again, in our lives, would submit to your authority. And it's in Jesus' name. You know, each week we offer a time of decision, a time in which you could make a stand for Jesus, and maybe for the first time submit to his authority, or maybe say, I haven't been doing it. Well, this morning, if that's you, or maybe you just want to make this your church home, we want to invite you. We want to invite you to make a decision for Jesus. I promise you, if you come down to the front, someone will meet you there, talk with you, pray with you, find out what you need. So let's stand together and we're going to sing an invitation song together. And you know, when you worship, when you sing, it too is about submitting authority to God. It too is about submitting your heart to God in song. Music is such a universal language. I bet 99.9% of us, when we get in a car, we like to have the radio on. We like to listen. And music is the same way with God. And when we worship him, we're submitting to his authority, singing a pleasant song. So this morning, if you have a decision you need to make, I want to invite you to make it.
So now couple announcements. We do have our small groups going on at 11 o'clock following our donut time. Also, after the second service, there's a fundraising lunch for Justin Fleener. He's raising money to go to Haiti with me, and I believe Paul's going to be going as well. We're going to be building a house. Some of you heard us talking about, there's a young man in the congregation there in Haiti that's worked with me just about every trip I've been down there working. Just a good, hardworking young man. And I had visited his house. Grant and I had actually gone to his house. And I think Rachel went too. Rachel Fleener was with us. And we went in the house, and when I walked out, I said, no, that's not good enough. And so for the last year or so, Agape Christian Mission and our church has been raising money to build this young man and his wife and his twin daughters a house. And last fall we were there, we laid the foundation, got it going, and we're hoping to go in. We're looking at it in a couple of weeks. We don't know if that's going to happen with some of the unrest, but maybe later this spring that we go, if we don't get to go then. But Justin's trying to raise money to go. And if you can help out, stay. Great. They're having, I believe, hot dogs and stuff. After the second service. If you can't stay and you want to give a donation, I'm sure Justin and Rachel would gladly take it from you. Let's pray and then sing a song and be dismissed. God in heaven, thank you. Thank you for bringing us together today to worship you. Thank you for each and every person that's here. May we leave here to go and to tell people about Jesus, to proclaim the good news, to make disciples. Father, thank you for the hope we have in Jesus, and it's in his name that we pray. Salvation.